The alien pilot's hands trembled as he looked at the humans preparing to exit the ship. "Please," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Don't step outside. This place, it kills." But the humans ignored him. The hatch opened with a hiss, and thick black dust swirled in the air like smoke. The recruits stepped onto the surface of Gravax 9, their boots sinking slightly into the strange ash-like ground. The air was dry, silent, and heavy. Every step felt like it echoed across the planet. Behind them, alarms began to blare inside the ship. The pilot shouted something in his native tongue, terror in his eyes. He sealed the hatch and pulled away fast, disappearing into the dusty sky. Dax stood still, his cold eyes scanning the dead landscape. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. The other recruits looked at each other nervously. No stars could be seen through the thick clouds. The planet felt like it was holding its breath. Somewhere far away, a deep rumble rolled beneath the ground, like thunder under stone. One of the recruits asked, "Did you hear that?" No one answered. Then something blinked in the dark, just for a second. A glowing red light, deep in the distance, then gone. The wind shifted. The ash moved like it had a life of its own. Beneath their feet, the planet stirred. Gravax 9 had tasted human blood before, and it remembered. From far below the surface, something opened its eyes again, and it was hungry. The recruits moved toward the entrance of the abandoned military facility, their footsteps muffled by the thick ash. The massive doors stood half-buried in the ground, scared with old burn marks and claw-like scratches no one could explain. Dax led the way without a word. He placed his hand on the scanner, and surprisingly, it still worked. The doors groaned open slowly, revealing a dark tunnel lit by flickering lights. The others hesitated, but Dax stepped inside. One by one, they followed. Inside, the air was colder. Dust floated in the stale atmosphere. Old Earth banners still hung on the walls, but they were faded and torn. Weapons, armor, and strange machines were scattered across the floor, left in a hurry. It looked like everyone had vanished in the middle of something. No signs of a fight. No blood. Just silence. The recruits split up to explore the outer rooms. They found bunkers, labs, even training halls. But everything was lifeless, untouched for years. Still, they felt watched. In the central chamber, Dax stood alone. There was an old console there, blinking weakly. He placed his hand on it, and the lights around him powered on with a low hum. The room responded to him, as if it remembered him. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the walls, mechanical yet alive. Human presence detected. Authorization. Dax Mercer confirmed. Reactivation initiated. The floor trembled. Somewhere deep below, ancient machines powered up. One of the recruits screamed from another room. Then came static over the radios, scratched whispers in a language not human. And outside the facility, red lights began to rise slowly from the ash, one by one. Watching. Waiting. The scream echoed through the halls, sharp and sudden, freezing everyone in place. Dax didn't flinch. He turned and started walking toward the sound without hesitation. The others followed, weapons drawn, nerves tight. They found the source in one of the side labs. A recruit named Keller stood shaking, his eyes wide with terror, pointing at the corner of the room. But there was nothing there, just a dark stain on the floor and an old shattered monitor. "It touched me," Keller whispered. "It was inside the wall. It reached for me." No one believed him at first, but then the lights flickered again, and a faint shape moved across the wall, like a shadow sliding just beneath the surface of the metal. The facility groaned, and deep beneath them, something shifted again, louder this time. The ground trembled like a giant was turning in its sleep. On the console back in the central room, new data streamed across the screen. Dax read it quietly. Training protocol. Phase 1. Adversary simulation. Activated. He stared at the screen, then turned to the others. "This isn't just a base," he said. "It's alive. It's testing us." Suddenly, a metallic shriek echoed from the hallway behind them. They turned to see a door slam shut, and Keller was gone. Just gone. No sound, no flash, only silence. Then the lights turned red. A countdown started on the console. 59:59, 59:58. Training had begun, but no one knew what the test was, only that something unnatural was now inside the base with them. And it knew they were here. The countdown continued ticking, every second echoing through the silent halls like a warning. Dax stood still, watching the screen, his expression unreadable. The other recruits panicked, shouting Keller's name and trying to force open the locked door, but it wouldn't move. Something had taken control. "Stop," Dax said coldly. "This isn't a rescue mission. It's survival now." The others stared at him in confusion and fear, but they listened. Dax had been here before, or somewhere like it. They moved carefully, their lights flickering as they passed through narrow corridors, lined with sealed doors and cracked monitors. The base layout seemed to shift around them. Hallways they had just walked through were now gone, replaced by walls. Symbols appeared on the screens, strange, alien-like patterns, but with a human structure underneath. It was like the facility was learning, adapting. Then came the voices, faint at first, whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The recruits tried to ignore them, but one, a girl named Tora, stopped. Her eyes went wide. "It's speaking to me," she said. "It knows my name. It knows things it shouldn't." Her flashlight flickered, and in that split second of darkness, something moved behind her. Tall, thin, wrong. She screamed, fired her weapon, but the bullet passed through air. Nothing was there. Then they found Keller's boot, just the boot, still smoking. Dax picked it up and looked at the burn mark on the floor. "Phase 1 is about fear," he muttered. "It wants to break us first." A low growl filled the hallway, metallic and deep, like a machine breathing. The lights above them turned blue. Phase 2 had begun. And in the shadows behind them, footsteps that didn't belong to anyone human started to follow. The blue lights pulsed like a heartbeat as the temperature dropped. Frost formed along the edges of the walls, creeping over rusted metal and cracked glass. The recruits shivered, not just from the cold, but from the feeling that something was now hunting them. Dax motioned for silence, raising his hand slowly. They crouched behind a pile of broken storage crates in the main corridor. That's when they heard it, heavy, dragging footsteps. Slow, purposeful, not rushed. Like whatever it was, it didn't need to hurry. It knew they had nowhere to run. Suddenly, the wall behind them bent inward, as if something massive pushed from the other side. The recruits ran, hearts pounding, breath fogging the air. One of them, Jonas, slipped and fell. Dax grabbed his arm, pulling him up just in time, as a long black shape slammed into the ground where he had been. It hissed like steam, then melted into the floor and disappeared. "It's not just a simulation," Dax said, breathing hard. "This thing, it's real. It's part of the base." They found an old command room with reinforced doors and sealed themselves inside. On the walls were photos of past human teams, dozens of them, all listed as failed. Except one. Dax's photo was there, younger, covered in scars. Underneath it, survivor. The recruits stared at him in shock. "You've been here before?" one asked. Dax nodded. "I was the only one who made it out alive. But the base let me go. It needed me to bring others back." The silence was shattered by a loud banging on the door, over and over. Something outside wanted in. And this time, it wasn't testing. It was feeding. The banging grew louder, shaking the walls as dust rained from the ceiling. The recruits backed away from the door, weapons raised, but deep down, they knew bullets wouldn't stop whatever was on the other side. Dax stood still, his eyes locked on the door. He didn't look afraid, just focused. The banging stopped suddenly. Silence fell, thick and choking. Then the console beside them lit up with a final message. Final phase. Termination or ascension. The lights flickered again. The door unlocked with a loud click, opening slowly on its own. Beyond it, nothing could be seen. Only black fog, swirling unnaturally. Dax stepped forward. This is what it wants. One of us has to choose. The others shouted for him to stop, but he turned and looked at them one last time. It doesn't want to kill us. Not all of us. It wants to see who we really are when death is certain. He stepped through the fog. The door slammed shut behind him. Inside the fog, Dax walked alone. Shapes moved around him. Memories, monsters, whispers from every team that died here. Then came the voice again, deeper now, inside his mind. You are not like the others. You understand the fear. You control it. Suddenly, the fog vanished. Dax stood in a chamber glowing with blue energy. The entity, a machine of ancient origin and impossible design, hovered before him. You have passed, it said. The others may leave. Back in the command room, the base powered down. Lights turned green. The path to the surface opened. The remaining recruits, dazed and silent, stepped outside into the ash. Above them, the sky cleared for the first time. But Dax never returned. Deep below, he stood before the ancient machine, not as a man now, but something more. Gravax 9 had chosen its new guardian. The galaxy would never understand why only humans could survive here, but it would remember this place forever. Because now it had a voice, and that voice was human.